Hello, and welcome to the CRM Zen Show, where we talk about all things Zoho. This is episode 381, Automagically Reducing Your Ticket Count, recorded for Friday, November 14th, 2025. From Zenatta Consulting, I'm Tyler Colt
Greg Belnap, and let's get right on into the show.
Let us do it. I love Automagically. It's one of my favorite terms to use. In all seriousness, I use it. I just like it. It makes me happy. So I'm a big fan of the show title. Well, Greg, welcome back. You were out traveling over this last week. How was the trip out to New York?
Oh, it was great. Do I seem more metropolitan to you now?
Yeah, you seem cultured. You seem cultured. Normally, you're very uncultured, is the normal kind of impression that I get. But yes, you seem very aristocrat at this point.
Yes. Well, and also my wife had me get my eyebrows waxed.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Wow.
during the trip, she was like, "I can't have you walking around New York City like that. You'll embarrass
That's
me."
awesome. Your wife sounds very cool. I love that happens, and I cheer her on. That is awesome. For me, my wife, it's always the skincare routine. That's the thing that she overmanages for me, and I've just come to terms with it that it's not worth the battle. So we'll be looking rejuvenated and youthful into our old age. So with that, I think we're ready to wrap up the intro here. We're going to run a quick little sponsor for a big old discount we're running right now. Then we'll get right on into the news.
Zenatta's biggest sale of the year starts November 24th. Get any individual team training course for just $500 or unlock every course for only $1,000. But act fast. This Black Friday sale ends at midnight after Cyber Monday. One-time purchase, permanent access for your whole team. Visit zenatta.com/training.
All right. Love those training courses. The last thing in the world that's not a subscription. So love those. Check them out. Good way to get up to speed. And with that, let's get into the news here. We've got not a huge amount of stories, but some of them quite long. So I do want to get moving on them. First one here is one of the quicker ones. This is for Zoho CRM. This is client script support for two new things. One of them is the list page for Canvas. So that's like where you can go into a list view, design a Canvas view for that, kind of make it look however you want. And then client script support for notes. That I think is going to be really nice. Notes are heavily used in a lot of different platforms, and this is a new way to automate off of those. So different actions for each of these. So inside of the list view, you can do these for either the list, tile, or table views, basically on load of the page or before changing a custom view, on clicking on the custom or the canvas button, on clicking on any icon or clicking on any text. So essentially, Greg, especially with the option of a client script doing like a pop-up, you could actually trigger some stuff to happen here, or like even the insert of new data just from the list view, it sounds like.
Yep. Yeah. So you can, exactly like you said, you have like maybe create like a little icon that would indicate, let me log a note for this record without even having to go into the record itself. You could click on that little icon, trigger a client script to, like you said, generate a pop-up, write something in there, boom, it gets added as like a quick note or something like that.
Got it. And yeah, you can see here, it's a brutal load. This little GIF that they have, basically what they're showing, I can't pause it, so you're just going to have to take my word for it or pause it on YouTube. Right at the end after they click this, it very quickly shows that they're showing an invoice PDF. So even with something like that, you could click on it and boom, there it was, there it's gone. So again, take my word for it that does show an invoice for about 10 milliseconds there. That's kind of nice too, to get like a preview of some stuff going on in the record. So really interested to see some of the clever ways that I'm sure our team will start using that. Next one here is one that is just apparently useful, is being able to do this on a note. So this is like right before it gets added or right before it gets updated with these on before options. This could do something like adding a title automatically, reformatting a little bit of data, right? So you can see here, they kind of covered it with this pop-up. Not the best little demo GIFs here. But essentially, you could take something and like reformat it into your standardized note formatting really easily. or, just trigger other types of automations within the record just based on a note being created or edited. So again, you can see here, they have this kind of just string of text. They click on save, and then boom, it updates itself into something that is much more formatted, right? Looks like they're using that ID and, grabbing some data and inserting it there. We find ourselves using client scripts more and more, to the actual degree now. One of our employees made a little GPT tool that can convert Deluge and JavaScript back and forth, because we're finding there's even a lot of cases where you want a workflow with Deluge and a client script, so that no matter where a certain thing is happening, it always is going to be consistently showing up the proper way. So I'm always happy to see more trigger points for these. We love them. They happen immediately, and that makes us happy and generally makes our clients very happy.
Very much so. This one is, it's on before add and on before update. So it's really like it's when you save. It's on before clicking the save button. So you click the save button, the client script runs, and so there must be a way that you can pass in like a false value in the client script to say, don't save this note, or don't save these changes. The one trigger that I hope given these ones, I'm sure these ones will just be along, but I'd really like to see an on load trigger, so that when you go click to open the note, that it would be really nice as it is to be able to try to parse somebody's note and then put it in a format. It'd be really nice if I could click add note, and then when the text box first opens up, look at the record and either pre-populate some info or just put in a template of some kind, so that it'll be that much easier for my people to fill out their notes. So really good step, and just even more ways to go.
Awesome. Yeah, big fan of client scripts. Next one up here is Zoho Books November 2025 updates. I'm going to go through these relatively quick. We do have a big block of updates for inventory. And again, as you know, two sides of a coin. A lot of those are also going to be affecting books. Essentially, update for digital tax on the UK edition, new restrictions for transaction locking. So things like, hey, you're attempting to lock an accounting period that has negative stock transactions, technically that should never happen, and GAAP accounting best practices. So it'll kind of try to prevent you from making some type of accounting error. Translation for email notifications, that's really cool. Love the idea of basically, and this is how it works, to be clear, it's not just the idea, is configuring a preferred language for a customer, and then setting up that a certain email template can be supported in various languages, or your company profile as a whole. And then those email notifications can get translated, right? So that's really nice. The one thing I would think there is you'll need to make sure, I would assume you're still going to need to select the appropriate PDF, right? So if I was sending an email notification about an invoice, okay, that gets translated to Spanish. I'll probably still need a different PDF template that's in Spanish, because it does not look like this applies to the PDF records that would be going out. But it does look like it applies to those emails, which is really nice. Yeah. Partial payments for retainers in the UK. Greg, you wanted to chime in there?
Just agreeing with you, just saying yes, you are interpreting it correctly, that, this is for the email content, not the attached PDF.
Got it. One thing we've done in the past, just to let people know, is you can actually, inside of you can automate the changeover of the default PDF to another. Like when I save a sales order related to a certain type of customer, we have done that in the past for people. Simple one is these guys want their billing address on it, these guys don't, right? So we kind of just set up some basic types, categories, and automations to select those out. Sales receipts in the customer portal. Why not? If you're going to have a portal, let's enable more stuff to go in there. Couple updates for inventory, simple approval for purchase receives. So basically you didn't have any approval processes before for that. Custom field inheritance, which we'll touch on in more detail, more custom buttons, and enhancements to put away and move orders. Again, we've got a lot on the inventory side that will all apply here. So we'll have this in the show notes for full access, but most of this will be in that inventory update. Now for a funny one. This one kind of caught us all a bit off guard. So this is the October 2025 updates for Zoho POS. And this is in the US data center. Now, to my knowledge, before seeing this article, Zoho POS was called Zakia, and it was not available in the US data center. So saw this article and I was like, that's cool. So into a demo account, I went to pos.zoho.com and I activated an account. So we actually will have a little, first impressions and tutorial going live next week. Leave us a comment below. Did anybody know that this existed in the US right now? It's getting an update article, which means it was released and now is getting updates. So there must have been some period of time that it's been available? ? Not sure. But, so a little spoiler alert on my, first impressions of it. It looks pretty good, all things considered. Like, I'll have to get, I don't have an iPad to, download the actual, app you'd use in the store. But it does have a lot of the features that you need. So processing returns for refunds, exchanges, and store credits. Basically 3 different ways to categorize and kind of use a return now supported. And then they've got this everywhere, that's WARE, as in the wares that you sell in the store. That's a third-party payment integration for Zoho POS, kind of like a terminal device. We'll probably see a lot more of these coming over time. It looks like this is the main one that's supported now. The fundamental difference of where's Stripe and all this? It's because you need a card reader, right? This is in an actual physical place. We're going to run a credit card. I'd really like to see Square supported eventually. I don't know if it ever will be because they are on the POS side, though. If I'm Square, do I really care what POS you're using? I really care about the credit card transaction fees is kind of where I'm at. So it'll be interesting to see which ones get rolled out for payment processing over time.
Yeah, where I'm really curious is if you'd be able to use because a lot of iPhones, you can use tap to pay. You can receive tap payments on an iPhone. For example, as some viewers will already know, that I run a comedy group here in Southern Utah, and we're using PayPal's POS, and so there is a card reader that we have, but you also have the option of using the same POS app on an iPhone and just accepting tap payments with the iPhone. So I'd be really curious if that's available on Zoho POS, and if not, will it be available? Because then you could have, because you could then that would really lower the bar on the level of entry to get somebody rolling on Zoho POS. It's well, do you have an iPhone? Then you have a card reader for 85% of people who are going to make a transaction. Almost everybody has some version of tap to pay, whether it's with a phone or a card with a chip. So,
exactly.
Very exciting.
Good call out there. That will be interesting to see. And then last one here, this is weighted average costing for inventory valuation. This came out for inventory a little while back, but you'll be able to set it up for POS as well. And then creating customized registers with register profiles. So this is essentially again, it makes more sense when you see it in context, but you can set up many different registers read as iPads, essentially, that will be in different locations. And so these can have different profiles, which kind of set up different various settings for them, right? Not all registers might be doing the same thing. You might have a location that's cash only, right? So you turn off that payment option for that particular register. Again, I kind of did a first look on this that will go live next week, probably on Monday or Tuesday. So take a look at that. And then let me know what stuff I missed in that video, if there's things we want to go into more detail on. Now that, surprise, surprise, we have access. I had no idea this was coming down the pipeline. But overall, first impressions, pretty solid. Finance team, they do great work over there. We got, it's off topic, but we got a demo of Zoho Payments, their competitor for Stripe and Square and Authorize.net. And a lot of times Zoho rolls out a new app and it's kind of meh for a little while, and then it gets really good later, right? They get a lot of feedback and kind of improve it. Zoho Payments was really solid right out of the gate. If you look at the types of data it gives you, the reports, the views into things, even their all these credit card processors, there's always some number of days. Like, okay, you made 20 grand a day, you get it in 2 days, right? Or you get it in 3 days. Even their time to cash was very competitive. They've done a really nice job on Zoho payments. So interested to see where that goes over time.
Yeah.
Next
and by
one,
the way, I do have a live update from Freddie in the background saying that they rebranded last month.
Okay.
That this is Zakia, and they pivoted last month to switch to Zoho POS. Why?
Got it.
Who knows? But we're happy that it's moving forward.
Yeah, and I think the name makes more sense. Zakia doesn't immediately make you think of a POS. POS does immediately make you think of a POS. Yes. I'm a big fan of just making stuff on the nose. Make it easy to know what this thing is. Yeah. Like it's like when they renamed their link thread, which is like their competitor for Linktree, was called Zipikit, Zpikeit. And after some feedback, they decided to name it Link Thread, which I think is a great name. I think that is quite nice. So big fan of just making it obvious. Next one up here, we've been talking about this a lot, but Zoho Desk just on the warpath, implementing AI tools really across the full thread of their product, pun intended. So actions that you're going to be able to do in workflows are field extractions, predictions, auto reply, and content generation. So I really like the idea of this like field extraction tool. A lot of the times inside of Zoho Desk, it's like, hey, we know that somewhere in this email, they're probably going to put their order number, right? And where's it going to be? Who knows? Sometimes it's in the subject line. Sometimes a customer will type, here is my order number, and they make it super clear. Sometimes it's just copy pasted at the bottom of the email. This is basically an AI tool trying to kind of fuzzy search that content for something that looks like an order number or looks like a certain thing, and then putting it in a field. I really like that. It's like a common battle that you face of like you want to automate stuff in Desk, but you're dealing with email content, which is just a little unpredictable. You don't know where everything's going to really live in there. And your two options are get every word in their email and run regex on it. Do like a space separated list conversion and then regex everything. That's pretty tricky to do. I hate regex myself. So I would do it this way with field extraction using AI. Field prediction. So if you're looking at like maybe predicting something like visa status based on the text of the email, really cool. And then content generation, kind of like, let's say I want to pre-populate a summary field or a comment field based on that to kind of give me a high-level idea of what they have written. I can do that. And then pre-writing a draft email reply. Again, I say that intentionally, a draft email reply. You should look at it before it goes out. But all those really cool. Like in the world of auto responses, like we've talked about Zia, you open a ticket, press a button, and then it pre-writes the reply. This could basically just have it there ready for you before you even get into the ticket, which is, one step better. So yeah. I like these. These seem like the right places to start for like the tie-in of AI tools into the workflow automation section.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the extraction and prediction parts because the having AI, although obviously these are all called generative AIs or what are the most popular right now, things like ChatGPT, things like that. Analytical AI can be so strong. And I like regex, but I agree that it is cumbersome to account for perhaps every type of situation that your regex string might appear in. So I do agree that this is a much more user friendly way to search for this kind of info. So
totally. And a good use case for AI. I mean, we talk about a lot internally, like the good and I'll say the right and wrong, the good and bad. I don't know the right descriptor, ways to use AI, and like taking something noisy like an email and denoising it is a good use case generally, right? Taking a meeting transcript and extracting action items, like good use case. The more I use it, I won't go on a full tangent here because the show's going to be too long, but the more I use it, the way I think about GPT specifically is a very eager, very dumb assistant. It doesn't know a single thing in the world, but if you give it enough, it can do a job for you. Something like this is giving it a really constrained job. You're looking for this thing and then you're putting it over here. So that's a good case where I think it'll do a very good job. Next one up here, rounding out the desk updates, ticket stages report. This is a long article to say something that is relatively simple but very valuable. Essentially, historically, you've had reports on tickets and you could see what stage they're in right now. The challenge is it could have been in many stages before that. And so you might want to know, how long has it been in certain stages? Did we break an SLA in a certain stage? Who was responsible during that stage and where did it go next? Right? Kind of almost thinking about this like the pipeline history in CRM, where you kind of get that idea of movement through stages. Because what you might end up finding when you look at data like this is like, hey, a commonality in a lot of tickets where we're getting bad feedback is that they're going through this stage. How could we improve how we're actually working that stage in particular? So doing that type of correlation report is really valuable. So nice one here. I would imagine people get using this pretty quickly. I don't know, Greg, is this one of those ones that's been available in analytics forever and is now just available in desk? Because I know some of those that's kind of been the trend line of like, yeah, you've always been able to do outgoing thread reporting. It just always had to be in analytics. I'm checking here actually because I'm curious.
I think this report, I don't think this is actually a new report even in Zoho Desk. Okay. I think this is a report that they're just kind of highlighting because Zoho Desk has a lot of built-in reports. This is because if you look the right below their conclusion, they say, please stay tuned for more in the Desk Reports series. So gotcha. I have a feeling that Zoho Desk has probably taken a look at their, usage data, and they're seeing, we built all these reports and people maybe are not using the reports. Why aren't you using the reports? We made all these reports. So I think this is kind of a spotlight series that they're going through, because we looked at this before a couple of weeks ago with I believe it was the agent. Oh no, it was the response time report. We also talked about that one a couple of weeks ago. Again, a report that already existed, but I think Zoho's just like, hey, they're already here. You don't gotta go looking for it. You don't gotta make your own. We have one. We have one, and it's good. So
good catch.
Yeah, go through all the reports in Desk. Odds are they probably already have most of the stuff you need built for you right off the bat.
Yep. And if you are a crazy person and want to do it in analytics anyways, it is there. It's called staging, is the data table that they've got for that. So if you're like me and you're going to do it in analytics, regardless of what's available, you can find that data there. Now for the last one, this is a bit of a behemoth. We'll do kind of a highlights on this, and then we'll probably do a separate video just going through all of these in detail. This is the Zoho inventory August to October. We're going to do air quotes here, quarterly update. It's a little off quarter, but that's okay. So if you're watching us on YouTube, you can see very, very, very big list here. Everything from dashboards to more customizations, fulfillment options, reporting, and integration. There are a couple big ones here that we do want to highlight. I know, Greg, you have a favorite down below. One of the ones I'll call out here is custom approval processes. So custom approval processes is basically being able to work in more sets of criteria to more sets of that approval process. Right. So before it's been very simple. It's like Greg approves, then Tyler approves. Now it could be like, well, if it is above this amount, then, Tyler actually approves it first, then it goes to this other person, and then finally this last person. Right. So you're just getting a lot more control over approval processes, custom modules in the vendor and customer portals. That's nice. We've seen clients use custom modules for things like deployed assets. Right? Like you have these 5 generators and they're in a custom module. And if you're going to log into the portal, you can see that I have those and make sure everything is trued up. Custom buttons and related lists in modules. So these are new for transfer orders, receives, and sales returns. Lots more here. The big one I think that is going to help everybody basically who uses a tool is the inherited value in transactions. I know you kind of called this one out before we started recording, Greg, as a really nice one to have.
Yeah, so what we have here, so if anybody, you already know that there are inherited values in transactions when, say, you convert a sales order to an invoice, right? Where it'll carry over a lot of details like, obviously the customer and the line items and all that sort of thing. Same thing with you're creating a package from a sales order. You can select the line items that are going to go over and copy all the, customer blah,
reference
blah, blah.
number gets filled in on the previous records order number. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So, but one of the things that they didn't have, or at least not in a really locked down way, was if you had a custom field that was the same, that should have the same value both on, say, the sales order and the package, to when you convert the package, you would end up having to like refill in that custom field. Or a very common thing that we did was create a workflow rule that on creation of a package, look up to the sales order, get the value, and then populate that value in the custom field on the package. But now what you can do is when you're creating a custom field for that related record, package to a sales order, or sales order to package, package to shipment, etc., you can define that the custom field should inherit its value from a parent record, right? So in the example, for those watching on YouTube here, they're showing a new custom field on the packages module for the payment terms label that is now going to pull its value from the payment terms label on the sales order. I guess not sure exactly why you need a payment terms label on a package, but if you did like in this case, you would be able to just pull that immediately from that label instead of having to create a workflow rule that would grab it and copy it yourself.
Yeah, really, really nice one. I've always had a conspiracy theory, and I guess I'll test it and see. I always had thought in my head that if you have fields on like a sales order and an invoice and they're custom fields, if the names perfectly match, they would inherit. That's always what I had thought in my head, but I haven't actually tested that in a long time.
The display names or the API names?
Let's go with both. I'm going to go with the safe answer and say both. So yeah, leave us a comment down below. Genuinely not engagement bait. Has that been the case? Or am I just hallucinating that as I am a faulty AI and I just make stuff up in my head? Not sure, but let us know down below. Lots of other ones here. Lots about operations and fulfillment. Again, there's just a ton in this article. So we will have the link to this article in the show notes. And then we'll probably be doing just kind of like a full run through of this on the channel, because we know that actually a lot of people use inventory. So it is worth kind of diving in. So keep an eye out for that, most likely next week. With that, I think we're ready to wrap up the news for the week here and jump over to our code share of the week. All right. This one comes from Tim. It is search and create Zoho WorkDrive team folders with a fuzzy match option. So I'll tee it up and then you bring it home, Greg. A fuzzy match is essentially when you're searching for something that looks like something else, but maybe isn't a perfect match. It is a little nebulous. You want to be careful with these because you can have a false match. But there are some ways I think you can try to avoid that type of issue. But Greg, you want to run us through kind of what we're doing here and why it might be useful?
Yeah, absolutely. So the funny thing is I think this is a little bit misnamed here because the thing is that with Zoho, so this is using the search API for Zoho WorkDrive, and the thing is that by default the WorkDrive search API, when you try to just search with a given text value, it is doing a contains search rather than an exact search. So it's like the fuzzy match is actually already built in. That's already what's happening.
Like I search for Greg, but Gregory comes back, right? Because it's
Exactly.
like Greg is contained within Gregory.
Exactly. So, or like, he gives the example of like you search for like the year 2025, it's going to bring back stuff that just says 2025 as well as stuff that says 2025 2026, whatever, right?
On it.
So it's like it was already fuzzy. So basically, what Tim added in here was more something to trigger an exact match, which is what you would kind of more would have expected would have been the default.
Yep.
But then if you'd simply leave that off, then it has now turned into a fuzzy match option. But yeah, so essentially you have your input arguments of a your organization ID, the ID of a team folder. If you want to search in a particular parent folder of something, you can put that in there, and then you put in the name of the folder that you're searching for. So, and then he's added in this extra parameter called fuzzy match that is a Boolean that you will set to either a true or false value. So if you leave it as false, then this is going to operate the way that the search if you leave fuzzy match as true in his function here, then it's going to operate the way as if you didn't have any of this fuzzy match logic in here, where it's going to return that contains. So you would get a series of results for any given name that you were going to give in the search. So then it iterates through all of the records that come back in that search. And if you have set fuzzy match to true, then it's going to return a list of all of the folders and files that match or potentially match the parameters that you put in. And it's kind of creating a list of possible candidates. But if you want to switch this to being an exact match, then you set fuzzy match to false. And then inside of that iteration where it's checking every folder that was returned in the search results, it's checking to see, did it find the exact name that you were searching on? And if it does, great, it returns that information to you. If it doesn't, then this function goes on to then create that folder so that now it does exist, and then you get an ID back either way.
Gotcha. Okay, very nice. Very nice. It's kind of controlling too. It's like, hey, if we didn't find certain things or did find certain things, we can try again with a fuzzy match. Or, if we need to get more or less granular. So you can kind of control it throughout the course of the function based on what you're finding or not finding. Yeah, very cool. And we find ourselves doing a lot of work within WorkDrive, kind of tying it in other applications, automating folders getting added, moved, adding documents, moving them around. So a nice one within the suite of Zoho apps. I actually prefer WorkDrive. I'm a rows and columns guy, so I kind of prefer the UI over a lot of the other file management tools that exist. So well worth checking out, especially if you're on Zoho 1. It's like, don't pay for Dropbox, right? You really don't need to.
While we are talking about because this is using the search API, a PSA that I always have to give about the search API is that it takes anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes for a folder that has just been created to appear in the search results.
Yes.
So if you are trying to run this immediately after a folder would have been created, the search is not going to have it. It hasn't been like indexed yet, right, by the back end.
You'll see that too in a lot of apps. You create a contact in CRM and then you try to search it 10 milliseconds later. It's not going to show up. It takes 15, 20 seconds before you're going to find it. And you can even see that manually. If you don't believe us, go add a contact and then go to the search bar and search it right away. Won't show up. Yeah, real quick. You got to be pretty quick. But yeah, and to your point, Greg, on the delay on like search indexing, that's why a lot of the times if somebody's like, yeah, I'm going to use WorkDrive, that's going to be my primary thing, we'll just create folders on like the creation of an account before you're sending proposals, before you're doing anything where documents might need to get loaded in there. It's like, dude, let's just make the folder, put the link and the ID in there, and then whenever we need it later, it's going to be good to go, right? You can do both where it's like you move to it later, and now like when something happens, we check if it exists. If not, we create it, then we put the stuff there. But always a good practice, just get those made sooner than later if you know that you're going to be using WorkDrive. With that, as always, this code share and all others live over at club.zenatta.com. That's the totally free community where we answer questions. We post all the news because, again, not everything makes the cut for the show. Sometimes there's little minor stories that might be major for you. So well worth checking out club.zenatta.com to stay up to date and, be in a community of true Zoho nerds. With that, let's head over to Zenatta.com and check out what's new on the website. All right. I keep saying it. We got a backlog of case studies. So this is from Arrive 55 and the Wine Mover case study here. Their whole thing is temperature-controlled wine logistics. So pretty niche business. I think 55 is that it arrives at 55 degrees, which would be like your standard cellar temperature. So this is essentially a build out that we've done here, covering a handful of different things. So essentially rebuilt a bunch of Salesforce functionality into Zoho. Big thing there was just like, why are we paying for Salesforce, man? We just need like a CRM that, can handle some custom data and things like that. Full rental lifecycle, recurring billing, lease agreements, and Zoho sign documents, lead form integration via Forms and Zoho Flow. And then, of course, analytics. We layer that into almost every implementation as, you got the data now. You might as well use analytics to know what's going on. Big shout out to Mark over there, one of the partners. We really love working with this company. Really cool business as well, pun intended. They keep the wine cool. Big shout out to the team for the build out here. And shout out to Wayne, our marketing guy. I love our new case study formats. I think they look really nice. So go and check those out over on the website. I say it every time, but we got a bunch over here. So if you're looking at Zoho, check this out because we may have done something similar to what you need, and it could be a point of reference for, potentially getting some help to build things out. Last but not least, we have been busy over on YouTube, so let's jump into our tips of the week. All right, I've done a couple here. So first one is a kind of redo of a tutorial on Zoho Analytics. We've done some of these a little while back. A lot of it is similar, but our videos are just kind of better. So I thought I would do a bit of a rerun through of the Zoho Analytics platform. We go through it kind of step by step. Let's get the data in. Let's take a look at the data, right? And I kind of try to draw that line between like, hey, a deal's a deal, whether it's in CRM or in analytics. We jump into making pivot tables and some chart views as well. And then we roll them all up into a dashboard that we can then filter and interact with as we need. So again, kind of a good intro to Zoho Analytics. This is one of those tools when we're working with the client, we really try to empower them to, get elbows deep over here. Because once you get over the hump, the UI is a little tricky initially, but once you get over the hump, it is pretty user-friendly and intuitive. You just got to kind of learn where stuff needs to go. So hoping that everybody finds that one useful. And then next one up here, actually just posted a couple hours ago, is a run through on activity tracking inside of Zoho CRM. So I'm trying to make more of these videos have a bit of a focus on some of the user side of things. Like if I'm a salesperson, how should I use task calls and meetings to like manage my pipeline and manage my deal flow? Where can I go to see all those once they've been created? And then I also jump in at an admin level to how to automatically create some of these. I do show Greg that kind of undocumented special sauce where like if I, let's say, make a task based on a call result, it's going to automatically link that task to the deal and to the contact that the call was originally linked to. So kind of show that little trick around daisy chaining some of our tasks. And then I do get in actually some reports, right? So if you're going to have all these tasks get made, we should probably look and make sure we don't have a bunch of overdue tasks. So goal there is for the users, for the managers to kind of get a little bit of that hands-on best practice on how we see these get used successfully in a lot of our client installations. As always, these videos and all others over at youtube.com/Zenatta. We always appreciate when you check out the videos. Make sure to like and subscribe if you find them useful. And leave us comments anywhere you'd like about videos that you would like to see next. We are always open to your input. All right. I think with that, we do have one of our... we got a cattail coming across the screen. I love that.
We have a
now
little...
you got to pay the cat tax. You got to pay the cat tax.
Yeah, this is Frankie.
New cat? Have you always had a cat?
Got her about 6 months ago. She was just...
Okay, so I'm just clueless.
She's like 4 weeks old at the time.
Wow. Okay, very nice.
Abandoned on the side of the highway.
Oh,
cat distribution
I wish I
system
wasn't allergic. I wish I wasn't allergic to cats. I love cats, and I will play with a cat whenever I'm around one, and then I'll always regret it because I am very allergic to them.
My wife, she has been getting allergy shot treatments for the last she started getting. She wanted a cat at some point, so she started getting them last year, and she's been totally fine. So there's hope.
Yeah, let me know if that continues to work because I have always wanted to get a cat. I had him as a kid and I wasn't allergic and it came on later, I guess. So with that, I think we do have a question of the week. So let's run that Azaz transition. Beautiful. Just a beautiful thing. You did it the other way this time. You were playing, was that lefty or right?
Style.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. This is a question from Ben over on YouTube. This is on our Canvas View tutorial for Zoho CRM. His question is, can I add all pipeline stages, prospecting, qualification, etc., all in one line, like in the standard view? So we're talking deal page, and, deal page up at the top kind of has that progress bar where you're moving through stages, and you can click on a stage and it will actually update the deal accordingly. We did a bit of poking around on this, and unfortunately, it's not great news, Greg. You found it's not supported in Canvas View.
Yeah, I was hoping that there'd be some kind of pre-built widget inside of Canvas View, but not one that I could find. So if you really wanted to recreate this in a Canvas View, you'd have to end up building some kind of widget yourself, some kind of Node.js widget that you'd be able to install, kind of in the middle there, with those stage names and then the clickable links and everything like that.
Got it. That's a shame. Maybe we'll put that in as a feature request because that's one of the best things about the deal is the bar. People love the bar. You code the bar, you're moving it. It triggers your layout rules. It just feels nice. I like clicking the bar, right? I like it. So it would be nice. Yeah, come on. That would be one that maybe we'll send over to Zoho because that feels like it should be supported. We saw this question and we're like, yeah, of course, it's got to just be in there somewhere, but didn't seem like it is. That one we'll need to follow up with Zoho on because it feels like a missed opportunity. Pun intended. That's 3 puns today that I've made. I'm on a roll. I'm feeling good. I drank a lot of water this morning, and I don't think I'm dehydrated anymore. And now my brain, it's like the Bradley Cooper. I took the Limitless pill by drinking the appropriate amount of water, and I am just feeling good. The puns are rolling freely.
And you're finally using more than 10% of your brain.
Yeah, I know. You've been asking me to do that for a long time, and it's a struggle. With that, I think we're ready to wrap up here for this week. So as always, thank you all so much for watching. If you want to get in touch with us over here at Zenatta, just head on over to zenatta.com and click on book a meeting. On the website is also where you'll find complete episodes of the show, as well as links to all the stories we discussed today.
And if you want good code for free, head to Club Z. We've got lots of different code shares, events, both Zenatta and Zoho related. Head over to club.zenatta and become a member today. And if you want to get your team trained up, we got that Black Friday deal going on. Get them trained up in less than 7 days. Head over to Zenatta. Inagata Zavita, baby. I'm doing great. Head over to zenatta.com/training.
Just drink more water. Yes. And as always, we appreciate when you like and subscribe here on YouTube, as well as your choice of podcast app. We will see you next Friday. And I gotta do.
You'd think after working here for 5 years, I would know how to say the name of our company.
Yep, it it comes and it goes. That's what I've found. Sometimes I can't speak, but I'm powered up
Hey,
today. So
I'm sorry. I got all that. I got all that New York mush mouth in me now.
there you go.